Shadows gather where the truth once stood. A kingdom of confusion carved out of falsehood. But he walks through the ruins like a prophet reborn. A voice once in fire, a mic on is gone. The chaos watches with an all-seeing glare. Guardian of reason in a world unaware. When the overlord stalls at the edge of the frame, the faithful rise up, they already know his name. I'm here to resurrect the second coming of coming sin. I come to wake the sleeping, the church will bring the fed. All idols, no illusions, no hollow interpret. He's here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Misled, thinking truth from the wreckage, lazy thought from the dead. Every word is a weapon, shot and declare, exposing every shadow we pretend not to fear. And the overlord marches with the suffering command. A beast of judgment, the Lord will give his bed. On his growl rings through the silence of the night. The loyal understand, tripping keeps the balance right. I'm here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. I'm making the chaos of found witness. Strong against the darkness, rising defense. He's here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Now you're headed to the beast that patrols the dawn. Sensing now of reason with the ball crushing block. If his ball runs empty, the shadows will consume. The world cracks open, ushering down. So read the command, come deploy and accord. If you know what's good, feed Morty the overlord.
Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you. And let's party. Who we got? Shout out to Lone Wolf and Cub. Pooping at the moment. We also got HR Death Poet. Not only pooping, I'm on X. I said TikTok is better. That's what you're supposed to do. Remember when we had to just read like the back of the shampoo bottle and stuff? Good times. Well, happy Friday the 13th. If you didn't know, now you know. And it seems that Tucker Carlson is not having the best day or the best week, really. They've been going after him. I saw that he did a couple episodes of his show where he didn't have a guest, where he was just talking to camera, and I didn't get a chance to see those entirely, but I did see some clips, and I kind of have an idea. You bad? You're so bad. And he's like, no. Well, I guess. I think we're gonna get something similar, but Piers is gonna have a little bit more respect for Tucker because he's Tucker. Yeah, exactly. The back of the toothpaste, the ingredients, the directions. Oh, you're supposed to rinse and repeat. And now We got TikTok. All right, we got Morty coming to join the party, or is he just teasing me again? Oh, teasing me again. All right, you remember he used to sit in my lap all the time? All the time. No, I don't know what happened. All right, let's dive right in. As always, guys, if you can end the video, please do let me know. Shout out to
I don't know what the case is that this is good for the United States.
Welcome.
No one's even attempting to make that case. So instead they say, well, you hate Jews. Ben Shapiro being like, wagging his eyebrows at you and telling you you're an anti-Semite. It doesn't matter what he says. If killing an 86-year-old religious leader didn't cause a spontaneous creation of a pro-Western government, which was apparently Ted Cruz's plan, if that didn't work, what would happen? Well, China would take over. And so anyone who didn't think that through is not qualified to lead anything. I almost want to run for president just to debate Ted Cruz.
Well, why?
A lot of people have been saying Tucker 28. Tucker 28. Let's see. Gondar said Tucker Carlos? Who's Tucker Carlos? Tucker's the Candace Owens of the right. Well, Candace is always on the right. Or already on the right.
What?
I kind of see where you're coming from, but this one doesn't work. This one doesn't work. Lomo said Tucker Carlson is a CIA reject. He's absolute trash. Interesting. So let's, as we put this up, I'm going to put a poll, and just in general, what do you guys think about Tucker?
I wouldn't. Going to war is the gravest decision a leader can make. It's a decision which, by design, causes death at scale. It reduces the quality of life for your own people, at least for a while, and it inevitably unleashes chaos, both economic and political, which is inherently not within your control. That's why most leaders carefully construct a case for war based on the costs and the rewards. Amid the suffering, they see great benefit in the national interest. Could it expand our territory or our control? Does it eliminate a genuine threat, which makes our country safer? Will it make us more powerful in our own geographic neighborhood? Is it popular with our people? Does it strengthen our national unity and pride? For President Trump right now, the answer to all these questions is no. For Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who says he's dreamed of this for 40 years, it could be yes on all counts. It's therefore perfectly reasonable to believe that Israel led the US into this war in Iran, not least because Marco Rubio said it, and Antony Blinken said Netanyahu tried the same strategy with the two previous presidents. But it doesn't answer the question of why President Trump went along with it and why now. The answer could simply be
tuckered out.
Before.
Why though? Why? What exactly is? I thought people were like, we love Tucker. We in the chat always somebody is saying Tucker 2028 and all that kind of stuff. Going Dark saying he's woke right. Mom said he's a CIA reject. What happened? I thought we liked Tucker. I like Tucker. I mean, not going to say he's my favorite, but I thought we liked him. He's a leftist sheep in Republican clothing. He changed his tune hard and magically got a new house in UAE. All right. Well, let's see it. We'll see where I'm going to put up the same poll later. Love him, like him, don't like him, hate him.
Prices are swinging wildly at the moment, but the president said this.
Prices are coming down very substantially. Oil will be coming down. That's just a matter of war. That happens you can almost predict it. I would say it went up a little bit less than we thought. It's going to come down more than anybody understands.
So yeah, talking about the woke right, I think, we're still in this process of really nailing down what it is, and it's not as pronounced. It does, right? Equality. I'm working on that. I don't know what's going on, but there's a difference between being woke and just being like a neocon. So those are not the same thing. So we'll definitely have to get into that. Shout out to equality and deference because vagina over on Rumble. Welcome to the party. Said, liked, and shared. My goodness, thank you so very, very much. You guys know that stuff is free. It's easy. It helps out so much. And it does not even matter if you think anybody's going to click on the link. Just by you telling the platform you want more people to see it, they will show it to more people. Welcome. Colin said, I like Tucker and always have. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say always have, but ever since he left Fox News, I really liked him. Christopher said, there's no such thing as woke right, you goober. Indeed, there is. The same type of mentality that makes somebody woke left. While woke left more applies to the positions that they hold, the wokeness itself is a mentality. And so if you're looking at a cult-like mentality and just going along with it because it's your team, then, that's woke. We also got Lee saying the woke right whines too much, like the wokies do. We also got Dick Johnson. Welcome. Very good to see you. Yes, it's a little goofy. I'll take that. All right. Back
predicted.
in.
I would say it went up a little bit less than we thought. It's going to come down more than anybody understands.
As it stands, Iran has only tightened its grip on the Strait of Hormuz. It's now exporting more of its own oil than before the war began, while making it more expensive for everybody else. And if the US always planned to take control, to conquer the strait, and leave Israel to police it, why did nobody say that? Trump was crystal clear about the unashamedly selfish benefits of raiding Venezuela. He's made a similar case about Greenland, whether you agree with it or not. So why the muddled messaging now? It's impossible to disconnect it from the bigger picture about his final term, the defense of MAGA's legacy and the battle for its future. The so-called MAGA war was red hot long before the Iran war began. Trump will be well aware that one side is extremely skeptical about Israel because it's a direct threat to a very literal interpretation of America first, fix this country before sending bombs to fix everybody else's. The other side would rather you didn't talk about Israel at all, as is to express unconditional support. Israel, they believe, is a key overseas territory in a new American empire which rules the world with muscle. That battle of ideas is going nowhere fast, which is why presidential hopeful Ted Cruz said this.
I believe Tucker Carlson is the single most dangerous demagogue in this country. And I'll tell you,
Any reason, or are we just saying things?
I've made the decision that I'm going to take him on head directly.
Head up, directly. Yikes.
Well, Tucker Carlson rejoins me now on Uncensored. Tucker, how are you?
Yes, we should all be able to agree that James Lindsay is a massive retard. James Lindsay is a bastion of the woke right. Yes, definitely. Shout out to Full Metal Chad. Welcome. I respect Tucker for being ballsy enough to interview Putin. I don't believe the accusations that he's pro-Russian. I believe he believes he's doing the right thing. Well, that's more than we could say for a lot of people out there, right? There's a long list of people who do not believe what they're saying, and they just spread that bullshit. Colin said to Christopher, the woke right is a reference. Oh, I'll just copy and paste it. Copy and paste it. Look at you. Oh, wait, did it do that? Where are we? Christopher, the woke right is a reference to those on the right wing who use the same kind of identity politics and have the same we good, they bad cult sentiment. Bingo. Indeed, exactly right. Who did I just see? We got Trey Williams. Welcome. Very good to see you. I said, Ted, I love Israel Cruz is miffed at Tucker because Tucker humiliated him in discussion on foreign policy. Yep. Sounds about right.
Well, Tucker Carlson rejoins me now on Uncensored. Tucker, how are you?
It's such a serious topic, and then you play the Ted Cruz clip, and I laugh. He already took me on head-to-head last summer. I'm not running for president, so I don't know why he would be running for president against me. But thank you. And Piers, as I have said publicly a number of times, you have been, even though we disagree on a lot of core issues, you have been a champion for free speech for years, especially as free speech, the allowable window of free speech shrinks.
I didn't want to pause it again, but I was going to be like, oh, yeah, man, I'm so sorry that your country sucks. Come on over to America. But beat me to it.
Years, especially as free speech, the allowable window of free speech shrinks, and you've been one of the world's great champions of it. So I'm not surprised that you're getting attacked for that, but good for you for what you're doing. Thank you.
Well, we're going to come to some of those attacks a little later. Just in relation to Ted Cruz, I mean, I watched that interview that you did with him where he had no idea how many people live in Iran. And as you rightly pointed out, that ought to be probably a basic prerequisite of knowing about a country before you may wish to, for example, attack a country.
Have you been?
And it may be that him now responding in the way that he is because you embarrassed him so much that day. But in relation to his claim that you are the single most dangerous demagogue in America, how do you respond to that?
Well, I'm honored that I beat Mamdani and AOC and the entire Democratic Party. I mean, this is a conservative Republican senator from Texas telling you that I am the most dangerous. Well, why is that? I have no allegiance to any foreign country, only my own, the one in which I was born, unlike Ted Cruz, who's from Canada. Why would I be the most dangerous? In fact, I'm not a demagogue. I don't seek to divide people. It pains me to see people divided. It's against my religion, and it's bad for my country. He's mad at me, well, yeah, because his interview didn't go well, as you said. That's true, I think. But he's actually most mad at me because I'm criticizing our alliance with Israel, and I'm not doing that because I'm getting anything out of it. I'm certainly not.
And that's another piece of why I'm very confused, because you guys in general seem to be very happy with anything anti-Israel, and Tucker's pretty anti-Israel. So I don't get it. But you guys can point it out to me as we are going. Welcome everybody. So woke right, again, the woke left is more about the positions you hold, whereas the woke right is more about the ideation that you use to come to those positions. So no, just because you're an ANCAP doesn't mean you're woke right. Just because you're an ANCAP doesn't mean you're not woke right. It's the same mentality that gets you to believe that, or rather gets you to the point where you are unable to answer the question, what is a woman? That same thinking applied to right-wing politics. That is what we're talking about. The woke, all right, yep. Well, that's what the woke right would say. That's what the woke right would say. It likes equality's name, equality and deference because of vagina. All right, let's dive back in.
Because I'm criticizing our alliance with Israel, and I'm not doing that because I'm getting anything out of it. I'm certainly not. Or because I hate Israel. I don't and never have, but because I don't think it helps the United States. And I've been saying that for the last year to increasing irritation from agents of Israel like Ted Cruz. And now this war kind of proves the point. Unfortunately, I wish we hadn't come to this, but this is so destructive to American national interest that it's hard to believe destroying American national interest, weakening the United States wasn't part of the point. How could it not have been? And the last point I would make about relevant knowledge of a country you seek to overthrow is that, like, looking at maps doesn't tell you the whole story, but it tells you part of the story. And at the eastern end of the Persian Gulf is a strait called Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's energy flows, and a huge percentage of its fertilizer and sulfur and petrochemicals and things that we need for civilization. And if you shut that down, the world economy tanks. And by the way, if you take out the government that controls one half of that strait, and that government is replaced by warring tribes, a civil war, then you open it up to piracy. And anybody with a $400 drone can prevent an oil tanker from getting through the strait. So chaos is actually the enemy of commerce, as are, terrorist regimes. But chaos is actually even more of a threat because you cannot meaningfully negotiate with pirates.
I thought he was going to say terrorist, and then the Somali thing came into mind. But yeah, agreed. Calling said Tucker doesn't ingest Israel semen, therefore Tucker is a demagogue, and that seems to be the type of attacks that come his way. But we'll see. You guys will set me right.
Even with the Houthis. So, like, what was the plan? What was the plan to overthrow the government of Iran, or even attack it in a meaningful way without jeopardizing core American interests? And the answer is there never was a plan, because the people who thought this up don't care about core American interests. And the net effect is to hand the Middle East to the Chinese, which is what is in process of happening. And I hope for the sake of the United States and the world that we can stop that. But the truth is, our real allies in the region are the 6 Gulf monarchies that control a lot of the world's energy. And by the way, they're pro-American and decent people, as you know, because you and I had lunch there. This is a nice part of the world. It's being destroyed. Yeah, these are our allies. We have bases in these countries for a reason, not just to protect Israel, but to protect the Straits of Hormuz. We haven't been able to defend these countries to the extent that I think they thought we would be able to. We've moved a lot of the anti-missile defense that might have protected them to Israel. And so for them, at the end of all of this, the question is going to be, do we allow the Americans to come back and occupy bases on the Persian Gulf? What's in it for us? We just got bombed for it. No one protected us. Our energy infrastructure is damaged. Our economy.
You mean Tucker supported Trump at Fox? Is that what you mean?
It's offline for months as we rebuild it. In the case of Dubai, it's a branding disaster. Like, there's no upside. And so at that point, the Chinese, the world's largest economy, kind of set this out on the sidelines, said basically nothing, may be called on to negotiate some kind of
accepted ACC. This is like an exception. Accepted something is with an A.
Peaceful resolution to this. The Chinese, not the US, the Chinese. And then it naturally follows that China, which is the largest trading partner of every country on both sides of the Persian Gulf, would become the dominant power in the Persian Gulf. It would become Chinese. So, like, if you thought about this for 2 minutes before advocating for it, you might arrive at that conclusion, or at least conclude that's possible. That could happen if killing an 86-year-old religious leader didn't cause a spontaneous creation of a pro-Western government, which was apparently Ted Cruz's plan.
Yeah, and I think there is a lot of, especially, I'm not claiming to be somebody who knows a lot about this, so I'm trying to figure this out based on these pundits and what they're saying and what the politicians themselves are saying, and acting like you have to be on board with this plan that we don't quite have yet, or you're a bad person. Don't really work for me.
If that didn't work, what would happen? Well, China would take over. And so anyone who didn't think that through is either not qualified to lead anything, including one half of the state of Texas. That person is probably actively working against America's core long-term interests. I mean, I don't know what other conclusion to reach.
That you just don't get it. You just don't get it, Tucker. Shout out to King Nirvana. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, sir.
It's been reported that you described the attacks when they first happened as evil and dangerous. Is that true? And is that a reflection of how you felt in that moment when you heard it had finally happened?
I got a text from someone I've known for many years right when I woke up and said, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "Evil and disgusting," actually is what I said. And I wrote it to
Or icky, as some people might put it.
John Carl is a reporter at ABC News who I've known since the early 90s. I had no idea this was some kind of on the record thing. He immediately went on breaking news and reported that. I had no desire to get that out there. I want to present my views in a more cogent, thoughtful way than just growling right when I wake up in response to the news on my phone. But yes, I'm not running away from what I said. That was my initial reaction. I thought this was a disaster for American interests. I thought that for many years I've advocated against this war. I advocated against a war in Iran with Trump in the first Trump administration. So this is not a new position for me. I don't want to be vindicated in my fears. But unfortunately, I think the very few people who publicly oppose this are being vindicated because I don't know what the case is that this is good for the United States. I don't even, no one's even attempting to make that case. So instead they say, well, you hate Jews, to which I always say, well, not only do I not hate Jews, I think anti-Semitism is immoral. It's against my religion.
This isn't fair, though. Well, so you mean Pete Hegseth didn't consult Tucker before attacking Iran? Oh, no, what should we do? As if that's what he's implying. I don't think he's implying, wait, you guys should tell me first. I think what he's implying is, well, okay, clearly I don't have authority here, so whatever you do, I have to deal with that. It's in the same way that any politician does. Calling it out isn't saying that you are entitled to make those decisions. It's just, calling that out.
Shut up, you hate Jews. And that is designed to do a bunch of different things, create more loyalty to Israel. There's so much anti-Semitism, you must be loyal to Israel. That's
hey, Liberty said, liked and shared again. Thank you so very, very much. Again, it's free, it's easy, it helps out so much, and it does not even matter if you think anybody's going to click on the link. Just by you telling the platform you want more people to see it, they will show it to more people. Thank you. People who don't like and share the stream will be fucking deported by helicopter to Alligator Alcatraz. Don't get lost with the alligators. Thank you, sir.
Designed to do a bunch of different things, create more loyalty to Israel. There's so much anti-Semitism, you must be loyal to Israel. That's definitely one of the aims of this. Another is to imperil the person you're calling a Nazi because Nazis get shot. Everyone knows that. And the third is to make people who disagree with you or who platform those who might disagree with you or Bibi Netanyahu, censor them, take them off the air, shut them up, silence them. Those are the points of it. But at no juncture have I ever met anybody who has laid out like a kind of reasonable, even slightly fantastical, but just like logical case for how this war will benefit the United States, make us stronger, safer, richer. I've never heard that case. I'm waiting for it. I would love to hear it. I'd love to.
But that's not fair because he's definitely heard people talk about, China and the influence around the country and Israel, of course. So maybe he's being a little bit hyperbolic and saying there's no clear plan, as we were saying before. But the general incentives have clearly been established. Whether you believe that that's what the government actually wants is another question.
Believe it.
You were in the Oval Office with President Trump. You were photographed with him. You met him, I think, maybe 3 times in the months leading up to this war. And I presume you discussed the potential for war in Iran with him. Did you try and persuade him that this would be a terrible idea?
Of course. That's why I went 3 times in a month, 5 weeks maybe. Yeah, that's why I went. And I've known him a long time, as you have, and always gotten along with him, still get along with him. I still like him. I'll always like him no matter what happens.
Come on.
Just because I like him as a guy. And I think he's trying his best. But in this case, I couldn't have an effect. I tried sincerely. I wasn't getting paid for it. It's coming, of course, at some reputational cost. No one wants to deal with being called a Nazi screamed at or threatened, or having your kids threatened, which has happened to me a lot. And no one wants to deal with that. But I just felt that this was so serious that it was worth doing whatever I could, because my gosh, people could die. The balance of power globally could change. I've never supported the idea of an American empire, but we have one, and it's in retreat. But there's a way to manage that that's not damaging or profoundly damaging to the United States, the country that I actually live in, that I was born in.
Yeah, that's another thing that moving away from, the libertarian mindset where it's just like, let's let everybody do whatever they want. The fact is that I don't want to be America world police, but right now we are America world police. And so I would love to move away from that direction. But the rest of the world is looking at us to see what we're going to do. Mike, welcome, said Israel's concerned about anti-Semitism. Shouldn't Christians be concerned about the denial of Jesus by Judaism? Christians, what say you? Welcome.
Manage that that's not damaging or profoundly damaging to the United States, the country that I actually live in, that I was born in. And this is not the way. Wars accelerate trends in progress. They bring massive and unexpected change. Every war does this. It's the nature of war. The second people start dying, all kinds of things you never anticipated will happen. And you can't control them. You lose control of the process. I've covered.
I agree with you there. I disagree with when you said that he is supposed to, be consulted. But I do think he's, implying what he wants. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I knew, but I don't know. They're not telling us anything. But it's like, come on, bro. They are. And again, you could say you disagree, or you could say that they're lying, or whatever. But you know what they have told you that they want to do. Shout out to JJ. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. He said it's nonsense. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. How do you know that? I don't know if he does. I'm saying, how do you know that?
All kinds of things you never anticipated will happen. And you can't control them. You lose control of the process. I've covered wars. I certainly watched a lot, read about a lot. I'm not an expert, but I try to apply obvious lessons through history to present day realities. And that was the first thing I said to the president and anyone else who would listen. Once this starts, the world is going to find out exactly how strong we are, which is not something you necessarily want to reveal. An implied threat is much more effective. In other words, if we're squaring off for a fight and you look huge, you've been lifting a lot, I'm afraid of you, but I don't really know what you're capable of until I hit you or you.
Okay, but if you're both big and a good fighter, then being big is not a bad thing. In fact, being intimidating is precisely a thing that can help you take your skills above what they actually can do. Shout out to Jennifer with the $5 make ya holler. Thank you so very, very much. Of course, every donation comes with a treat for the overlord. Thank you so very, very much. And yes, you guys know that YouTube takes 30% off the top of all your donations. So if you don't want to give YouTube your money, but you'd like to give me your money, don't forget about Cash App and Venmo at the Indian Jesus. Jennifer, thank you so very, very much. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream.
A lot. I'm afraid of you, but I don't really know what you're capable of until I hit you or you hit me. And then we find out, and maybe it turns out you have no heart, and you lose. I mean, war is kind of the great reveal. And you don't necessarily want to go there, especially if you've ruled the world without question for 80 years and your capabilities have never really been tested. You haven't fought a big country really since 1953 when the Chinese entered the Korean War. So
okay, and I don't even disagree with that. Like, oh, you want to, keep your cards close to your chest, and you don't want to give away anything before what you need. Okay, I agree with that. But if you're saying we're in a situation where that we do in fact need those war powers, then why would we not use them? Again, I'm not making a claim on the position. I'm saying what Tucker just said doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm an infidel. Welcome, said Tucker's Alex Jones now. Like I said, I haven't really listened to him talk on his own a lot in a while. And already, we're only a few minutes in, but this is not really the Tucker that I remember. So you guys might be, between you guys and him, I might have my mind changed by the end of this. Well, I said the arguments for the American World Police may carry some weight if we ever got anything right. And that's the problem, is that even if with the best of intentions, you don't necessarily know how this stuff is going to go down, which is another reason why they don't want to give what the plan is, because then if shit goes haywire, then like, okay, well, we didn't stick the plan, but the situation changed. And that's why I want to move away from that. That being said, that's not a matter. We can't change that just automatically. We are where we are, and we've got to use the political power that we have to try to get away from being America or on police. And that's what we all thought. Well, at least that's what I thought I was voting for when we had the No New Wars president. But I guess I got a little bit swindled,
Fought a big country really since 1953 when the Chinese entered the Korean War. So like, you don't really know what you're capable
That I agree with Lee.
of, and you don't really want to find out. Let's not find out. How's that? But I lost. So as you can see.
Did you, when you were talking to him, Tucker, did you get a sense that he was on the fence about it, that he was potentially persuadable, or did you feel that he was minded to do it, notwithstanding what you were trying to persuade him to the otherwise?
Yeah, John saying Tucker had a few good points at some point, but it doesn't mean he's always right. I think this goes, this definitely goes for everyone, including me. If you tuned in to a stream and I said some shit that you're like, oh, dude, Bay's on point, whatever, I am going to get things wrong. So is Tucker, so is Trump, so is Alex Jones, so is everybody else. And that's why you got to keep your head on a swivel and know who you like and who you trust, but also be willing, like I am in this moment, being like, what the fuck is he talking about? Welcome. We got more guys. Hammer over on Rumble. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. Sent, liked, and shared. Again, guys, thank you so very, very much. I could not tell you how much that stuff really does help. I wish I didn't have to beg you, but it really does help. Thank you.
Well, this was over the course of a month, and that included, so I went there 3 times, but I also talked by phone a bunch, and with him about this. And a lot of other people did too. To advocate for it. A lot of people. I don't think many people within the White House were advocating for it, is my sense. Not that I would really know. I don't work there, but my sense is there weren't a lot of cabinet secretaries saying, oh gosh, we got to have a war with Iran. But there were a number of people from the outside who were all sort of visible. You kind of know who they are, donors and advocates for Israel who were advocating for it. And my sense is his view started to change. Well, obviously it did, because he did it. But at no point did I detect an enthusiasm for it. He didn't seem eager to do it. He didn't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. That sounds fair. I don't have a problem with that. I don't want anyone to have nuclear weapons. I want Israel to have nuclear weapons. I don't want France to have nuclear weapons. I mean, that's a pretty reasonable position. But
then how are you not seeing the connection between not wanting other countries to have nukes and what's going on with Iran? That's what they are saying. Again, maybe you don't agree, but before you said you have no idea. I wish somebody would explain it to me. I'd love to listen. But they did.
The idea that you would go into some kind of conflict that could very easily become a ground invasion, or who knows what it becomes, a nuclear exchange, who knows? He was not eager to do that from what I could tell. And again, people tailor their positions to the audience, but I talked to him a lot. And I never one time got the feeling he can't wait to do it. But I also felt, turned out to be correct, that there was an enormous amount of pressure on him, like enormous. I mean, clearly there was an enormous amount of pressure. Where exactly did it come from? It wasn't just from Mark Thiessen of the Washington Post, who was calling a lot to demand more killing. Mark has a lifelong track record of doing that, but no one cares what Mark Thiessen thinks. I felt strongly, and I feel strongly now, that there were forces that were forcing him in this direction. And in fact, the Secretary of State, as you said in your intro, admitted as much out loud and said, Netanyahu said, we're going to go first, and you can either watch your assets get destroyed and your people get killed in the Middle East, or you can join us. The question, though, is why at that point,
I thought that was really,
yeah, exactly. And I mean, maybe dismantling the military-industrial complex as a whole was a little bit more than we expected, but this is damn near the opposite. And I'm willing to go along with what needs to be done if the pieces on the political landscape change. But as Tucker is saying, I want a clear answer. Now, Tucker's saying they're just not telling us anything. I have no idea what's going on. That's not true. But they are giving us answers, but they're giving this and then that, and then that has to do with this, and that has to do with that, and we're liberating these people, we're doing regime change, we're not doing regime change, all this kind of stuff. So I would like a clear message.
Yeah, that was really, I think, a fascinating moment when Marco Rubio said that, because it prompted Antony Blinken, the former Secretary of State, who'd obviously done his job, to then reveal that Netanyahu had tried to pressurize both Biden and Obama into doing the same thing, using the same pretext of, we're going to go and do this anyway, are you with us or not? And of course, in both those eventualities, the answer was no, and Israel didn't attack. I mean, do you think, knowing that now, knowing that from Blinken, do you think Trump may have got played here by Netanyahu?
Well, I already knew that the Israelis had done that in the previous administration. I knew they did it in 1973 with the Nixon administration, where they threatened to use nuclear weapons against the Arabs and forced Henry Kissinger to okay arms sales to Israel. So there's a...
Right. I was saying they're giving us answers, but they are bullshit. And that is enough of an issue. That is something to be legitimately outraged about. I don't understand why it needs to be taken a step further. Like, oh, they're just not telling us anything. They are. But it's bullshit. So let's talk about why it's bullshit. And I'm not somebody who understands enough about the global implications to be able to pinpoint where and why. But you certainly should be, Tucker.
Long pattern of this. And I think anyone who knows anything about the Israelis knows that they're capable of this. They're capable of great violence. They take their threats very seriously, maybe too seriously, to the point where they become self-fulfilling. I mean, you could argue about it, but they don't mess around. And of course, this had already happened in this administration. In June, our bombing, the 12-day war in Iran began when the Prime Minister of Israel announced to the administration, I'm doing this week. And my question then, and I raised...
Well, shouldn't you be happy about that? If you think Fox News is bad and he was criticizing Fox News, wouldn't that be a good thing? The enemy of my enemy is my friend? No?
It was, how about no? How about no? You're a client state. You've got 9 million people. You're the size of New Jersey. You don't make operational decisions.
How about no?
And you certainly don't tell the world's dominant superpower what we're doing next. Like, why would you? That's like...
Oh, okay, so then you get it, Tucker. Okay, maybe Tucker is becoming woke right. Maybe he's becoming woke right. Because listen to what he just said.
It was, how about no? How about no? You're a client state. You've got 9 million people. You're the size of New Jersey. You don't make operational decisions. And you certainly don't tell the world's dominant superpower what we're doing next. Like,
so then why are you complaining that they're not telling the world what we're doing next?
Stupid.
It can't be both. It can't be both. Shout out to quality and deference because of vagina with the $5 Rumble Rant. Where's Marty? Come get your treat, boy. There we go. Thank you. So very, very much said. Hats off to you, Lutch, for selecting an excellent topic for tonight. Well, thank you, and thank Piers, because I do think it's going to be quite interesting. Israel gotta go. I don't know if Israel gotta go. I think we gotta go away from Israel and just let them do whatever they're gonna do. They get crushed. Leave us out of it. I'm legitimately America first. I'm not America only. But unless we really need to do something, let's leave it alone.
Size of New Jersey, you don't make operational decisions, and you certainly don't tell the world's dominant superpower what we're doing next. Like, why would you? That's like getting a lecture from your children. No. And that was my position, because that seems consistent with the laws of nature. The weaker partner doesn't get to dictate terms. Like, what world are we living in?
Do we see how he's just flip-flopped from what he said? We are 18 minutes into what he's saying, including the intro. And at first, well, I don't even know what's going on here. It's like, well, maybe you could tell me.
The weaker partner doesn't get to dictate terms. Like, what world are we living in? And whatever, I'm not in charge. But that was my position. I think that'd be the position of most rational people. But Israel was in charge of that war. They started it, and they were in charge of this war. They started it. So this is a difficult thing for the people who advocated for the war to deal with, because their whole purpose is not to help the United States. It's to, and not even to help Israel. It's to help the Prime Minister of Israel Benjamin Netanyahu. If you're loyal to Israel, if you love the state of Israel, what do you think about what's happening in Tel Aviv and Haifa right now? They just had apparently an Iranian rocket land right next to the Church of the Nativity. Luckily, it didn't do much damage. But this isn't helping Israel. There's no real end game for Israel here that's going to result in its long-term stability and peace. Of course not.
So this is now, again, we're going almost line by line, trying to determine, is he saying something legit or is he being bullshit? Because in terms of long-term stability, we don't actually know what's going on. There might be plans. There might be ideations. What was the thing that they said? There's concepts of a plan, but we don't know. And Morgoth said, dilly dilly to avoid foreign entanglements. Please. I'm 36 years old, and there has not been one single year where we were not directly involved with some type of military conflict around the world. Can we just get one day? One day? Just one day. We'll start with one day, and then we'll go from there. Adam said, no more APEC, no more Zionist American politicians, no more show-fueled Bible evangelical nut jobs. I could say dilly dilly to that. Indeed. Welcome. Let's back in.
End game for Israel here that's going to result in its long-term stability and peace? Of course not. This is a disaster for Israel, actually. Not that I really care because I'm not Israeli, but I don't want to see any country harmed. And these people are in a very tough spot because now we've left the rhetoric stage and we're in the kinetic action stage where the rest of us can just assess outcomes without mediation. Like, who controls the Straits of Hormuz in 3 years? Is there an American military base in Bahrain? What happened?
Wait, is it Hormuz or Vormuz? H or V? I thought it was Vormuz.
From the Fifth Fleet. It used to be there. Where is it now? Who's controlling the energy flows out of the Middle East? These are measurable phenomenon. They're not susceptible to Ben Shapiro being wagging his eyebrows at you and telling you you're an anti-Semite. It doesn't matter what he says. And so it puts them in a very tough spot. How do they respond? Well, we know from the Iraq War, not a single person is ever going to admit he was wrong. Ever. One of the most liberating things I've ever done in my life was admit that I was wrong about the Iraq War. And I was ashamed of it. I remain ashamed of it. But once
you're saying V. Adam, I think it is Hormuz with the H. Yeah. Okay. Morgoth's also saying. I don't know why I thought it was Vormuz. Okay. It may be that I've been watching I never saw the Scream movies, so I'm watching all the Scream movies, and they're always talking about Jason Voorhees. Maybe it just got mixed up in my mind. I don't know. Hormuz.
One of the most liberating things I've ever done in my life was admit that I was wrong about the Iraq War, and I was ashamed of it. I remain ashamed of it. But once you say I was wrong and I'm sorry, this tremendous weight lifts off your shoulders. You don't have to lie anymore, and that is what liberation actually is. None of these people will do that. None. They feel no compunction, and they won't. So instead, what they're doing is they're just going bonkers on the attack because, and this is a precept that Israel lives by, the best defense is a strong offense. So rather than like debating you on the terms or admitting that they were wrong in their forecasts and there was no popular uprising in Iran and we've lost control of the world's energy, they're going to say, Piers Morgan, you're a Nazi. Matt Kelly, you're a Nazi. And you're just like, what? That is a kind of insulation that they're constructing around themselves to prevent, well, any kind of soul searching about how did I get it so wrong? And all these people died because I was wrong. They don't want to deal with that. But it also allows them just like keep going on to the next war of conquest or the next satanic disaster.
I don't like what he's doing here either. And this is definitely woke, where he's talking about the complaints that he gets. And so you're mixing up the complaints that people who are on the right that disagree with you are calling you, saying, this is wrong, that's wrong, versus people on the left who are just flinging shit. That's not the same thing, and he's acting like it is. Come on, man. Do better. Morgoth said, in your defense, the Straits of Hormuz are causing many screams these days. Indeed they are.
But it also allows them just like keep going on to the next war of conquest or the next satanic disaster that they'll back, which they will.
Have you spoken to President Trump since the war began?
I just through proxies.
All right, that was good. All right. Get it? Like a proxy war?
Names or said I was too dumb to understand MAGA or something. I wasn't, from my perspective, a real attack. I can't. I admit my weaknesses up front. Okay, I like pizza, which is wrong. I like Donald Trump. which is, increasingly hard to defend, but I do.
Whoa,
And
whoa,
I
whoa!
Don't
Wait, what happened? Are we frozen? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Wait. What was that? You like? We don't be talking like that. Post Pizzagate, post Epstein. What did you just say?
I admit my weaknesses up front. Okay, I like pizza, which is wrong. I like Donald Trump.
That's him making a joke, right? That's not like a, what do they call it? A dog whistle. I'm gonna hope. Oh yeah, vermouth. Yeah, vermouth is the alcohol. There you go. Weird, fucking weird. I like pizza, which is wrong. I'm hoping that that's an Epstein joke, because otherwise, that is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever heard him say.
I admit my weaknesses up front. Okay, I like pizza, which is wrong. I like Donald Trump, which is, increasingly hard to defend, but I do. And I don't anticipate any kind of personal tiff with Trump. I think he was in an impossible spot. I think it's very obvious now that the U.S. president, under our current system, which I pray changes soon, doesn't have the latitude that people thought he had. Like, presidents can't just make...
Wait, that was, again, an odd sentence. You said, which I hope changes soon. You hope the president changes soon? Or you... What?
Trump, I pray changes an impossible spot. I think...
So, okay, it's... that Trump is in an impossible spot.
It's very obvious now that the U.S. president, under our current system, which I pray changes soon, doesn't have the latitude that people thought he had.
You see what I mean? Is he saying that the impossible spot he hopes change? Is he saying the president he hopes change? Or is he saying, what was the third thing? The
U.S. president, under our current system, which I pray,
or the current system
changes soon,
or
doesn't...
Or the that was a confusing sentence. That is a confusing sentence. And I feel like he's doing it on purpose. You guys are winning me over. But make sure you hit that poll, guys. We are tied 3 ways at love him, like him, and hate him. What do you think of Tucker Carlson? And, of course, guys, if you are on a vertical stream and you don't want to be, then, of course, look in the description. You will always find the link to the regular landscape stream where we put the good polls. Come on over. And you know what? I think I'm going to decide. We'll look in the numbers. But I'm thinking about saying, maybe after an hour, hour and a half, something like that, we shut down the vertical stream and only the real ones come on over to the landscape. We'll see. We'll see. Hey, we got David in the building. Welcome to the party. Yeah, odd, right? Listen to it again. And what exactly does this mean?
And I don't anticipate any kind of personal tiff with Trump. I think he was in an impossible spot. I think it's very obvious now that the U.S. president, under our current system, which I pray changes soon, doesn't have the latitude that people thought he had. Like, presidents can't just make whatever decision they want in the interest of their country. There are other forces hemming them in.
So he's saying the current system he wants to change.
We don't have sovereignty in a real way. Clearly, we don't. If we're following a country of 9 million people into a war that could displace us as the dominant superpower, we don't have sovereignty. I mean, by definition. And I think every president has felt that since John F. Kennedy was murdered. And clearly they all have. And they've acted within it, with wisdom or not, but they're still acting within boundaries that they didn't set, that no
Can we land the plane, Tucker? What the fuck are you saying?
American did. And it's just time to change that system, not because you hate Israel or you're anti-Semitic. I mean,
okay. So he's talking.
I don't hate Israel at all. I'm never going to.
So he is saying when the current system changes, but what system exactly are you talking about? The military-industrial complex, the entire American foreign policy? What exactly are we talking about here?
But that's not the way a sovereign country behaves or should have to behave. And Americans have earned the right to live under a government that makes decisions on their behalf for their benefit. I mean, it's that simple.
What Trump said about you was quite revealing, actually, because he said Tucker's lost his way. He's not MAGA. MAGA is saving our country. MAGA is making our country great again. MAGA is America first, and Tucker is none of these things. And Tucker's really not smart enough to understand that. Now,
I would say that when it comes to MAGA, all of those things are true, except for the fact that I think Trump is the least MAGA out of the whole situation. It is Trump who is diverted from what he was talking about when we first talked about what America First actually meant. And I'm waiting to see how far is he going to go away from it. Because I want to see that this was a necessary military action, and then it's going to be stopped as soon as possible. If that's the case, then, I won't be happy about it, but you should never expect perfection from your politicians. But that'll be reasonable. But I don't know, man. Are we going there, or is it going to get worse?
MAGA is America first, and Tucker is none of these things.
Yeah, Clay said Trump's throwing a tantrum. I mean, what else is new?
And Tucker's really not smart enough to understand that. Now, having been on the receiving end of Trump's...
Wait a minute. Is that why all of you guys, some of these are saying that he's stupid and low IQ because you saw Trump say that he's not smart? I hope not, because that would be pretty woke.
Savage rhetoric from time to time. That is pretty low base for him. But it was an interesting point about what constitutes MAGA, because of course there are many people with pretty short to mid-term memories who can remember Trump campaigning so vociferously to his MAGA base before the last election on saying, look, we're going to be America first. We're not going to go marching into Middle Eastern countries anymore. We're not going to wage foreign wars. We're not going to interfere in other countries. And we're going to fix the economy in the United States. We're going to get the cost of living prices down. We're going to end inflation. And it seems to me that it might be that President Trump has either forgotten what he said or wants to try and reframe what MAGA really means. Because if you're a MAGA voter, you must be slightly mystified. You may not want to admit it publicly because you think it betrays Trump, but you must be mystified that within a year of winning back the White House, the guy that campaigned on not going into the Middle East again, not waging foreign wars, focusing on America first and the U.S. economy,
brought us into the Middle East. And yeah, I think that Trump, we obviously can't say that Trump wasn't the figurehead of what the poster boy for MAGA. Oh, he started it. That was his claim to fame. But MAGA isn't just what Trump says. MAGA is an ideology that is about making America great again. So it doesn't matter if you were the first one to repopularize that. If you're not doing the things that are making America great again, then you're not MAGA. That's not that's not an argument. That's just what words mean.
Has now launched the biggest war in the Middle East in my lifetime that America has waged, and that has inevitably sparked the biggest economic meltdown we've seen as a consequence of a war, not least because, as you said, about the Strait of Hormuz and the damage that is inflicting, and the simultaneous attacks on the Gulf states and all the fallout from that. So it seems to me that he may want to come after you for not really understanding MAGA, but I'm not sure that many in the MAGA movement, if they're really honest, can be comfortable with what is happening here.
Bingo.
Yes, we are MAGA. Not just because Donald Trump was like, hey, remember when Ronald Reagan said this? That anything that he does is now making America great again. That's not how this works. And, I mean, maybe if you're woke and you're just going to suck his feet no matter what he does, then sure. But the rest of us, not good enough.
I mean,
that's whiskey for me.
Look, I've never claimed to be a genius because I'm not a genius. And so it's entirely possible there are motives I don't understand. I certainly tried to understand in many conversations with him, but maybe I didn't. I'll keep that possibility open. And as for what MAGA is, it's a slippery definition. I mean, I think George Orwell wrote a bunch of books about this, including Animal Farm. Definitions change. I remember someone pointing to a picture of 100% black people once and telling me that's diversity. Or thinking, looks like uniformity, actually. Like, what do these words mean? I don't know. I do know what America first means because it's a much more precise description, and it means you put America first in every decision that you make as an American leader. And this, by that definition, falls far short. In fact, it is by definition not America first because the administration has already said we followed the lead of a foreign country.
Right. And so even if we're saying America first doesn't mean America only, that still requires us to put the interests of America before the interests of any other country, including, and may I say especially, Israel.
In doing this, we put their interest first. And I think most people, no matter how they feel about Israel, whether they love it or hate it, or it doesn't matter. It's nothing to do with this specific country. It has to do with any country that might be leading us around, particularly to our destruction, and putting its interest before ours. Our leaders can never agree to that, period, because it is the opposite of America first. So, whatever Trump said about me, I didn't take it personally. I suspect he doesn't really mean it because I've always gotten along with him for 30 years. I expect I always will. But
well, I'll assume that you just jumped in, but I literally said the opposite of that. That some people who I would call the woke right follow that. That whatever Trump says, that's MAGA, that's making America great, that's America first. And I was saying absolutely fucking not. It doesn't matter if you were the guy that said it. Fuck you if you're not putting America first. Fuck you if you're not keeping America as the primary interest. It doesn't matter if you're the guy that started this. Trump is not being America first.
On this one specific question, America first, we can say this was not America first. This was at least America second.
At least.
I do think it's obvious that Israel understood, because they're not stupid, that the effect of this war would be to get the United States out of the Middle East. And unfortunately, I think that will be the effect. And they want that because why would you want a dominant power in your region telling you what to do and hemming you in, as the U.S. has to Israel? No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that.
Or is it the other way around where they're telling us what to do?
We may not mean it, but we still hassle them over or used to hassle them over, say, the West Bank settlements. They want the U.S. out, and they're moving to India. Okay, that's their calculation.
There you go. I've been MAGA since birth, right? Because it doesn't inherently have to do anything with Trump. H.G. Budney said, "What's Tucker Carlson doing since he got tossed out by Fox?" Well, for a while, he was having some really interesting conversations. But he claimed one of my videos when we were covering him, so I haven't looked in a while, and he's been doing these straight to camera things that I also haven't seen. I expected a lot different. I'm not sure what exactly I expected from him, but I'm not positive I could say I love it. I don't hate it, but I'm not so sure I have the trust in Tucker that I once did. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying I'm not sure.
Bank settlements. They want the U.S. out, and they're moving to India. Okay, that's their calculation.
Hello, thank
but how is that
you.
good for
Come
me
again.
as an American? It's not. So America first. Yeah, this was not America first. Whatever it was.
Well, what is very interesting is that I can't remember a war that once it started where American forces have been committed by an American president where there hasn't been majority support for that war in the United States in the polling. This is the first time where there isn't. There's a majority of a lack of support for it.
And this is why a lot of people are saying that this could be, especially if it goes further, which we expect it to go, that this could be the new Vietnam because of the difference in how people, regular people understand the war. Before Vietnam, you heard about it on the radio and you read about it in the newspapers, but Vietnam, you actually got to see it on TV. And now we're saying that this is the first war that we're actually watching from civilian phones and essentially in real time. Zhang, welcome. I said, love to Tucker Carlson, hate to India. All right, fair enough.
Americans they're not buying this war. They don't want it. They don't really understand it. And they're very concerned about the consequences.
The only people who support this war are those born between 1946 and 1964 who
Boomer.
Fox News. That's it. I'm not attacking them. By the way, they're Americans. They're my equals as Americans. I love a lot of them. But their perspective...
Do we agree with that? Do we think that the support for the war in Iran is predominantly an older person thing?
On the U.S. and the world is very different from everyone else's. Very, very different. And so they're not the ones who got Donald Trump elected, actually. The people who got Donald Trump elected are the people who hadn't voted for Republicans before or even voted at all before. And they're like Joe Rogan listeners, or people who use nicotine pouches. They're Hispanic voters. They're young black men. They're non-traditional Republican voters who voted for Trump because he promised not to keep doing the same thing.
Right. And so I agree with all of you guys. And that is, not a good thing in and of itself, but it does give us a little bit of a silver lining where we can see that there is going to be a changing of the guard. Not that we're celebrating people dying, but these people are going to die out, and they fucked us 6 ways to Sunday. And so as we move forward, then we should see a corrective shift in at least the war games conversation. I'm not sure the answer is yeah, they're I mean, some of them are obviously they're not a monolith, but in general, the youngins ain't about it. Brad said the hippies from the 60s are the boomers of today, and the ones in power fucking us. They got to live the good life, all fucking love and drugs and all the free all that stuff, and they turned it around and were like, no for you, no fun for you. Sad. I mean, I'm just all gone out of power. We'll say all not able to affect the cultural politics as much. We'll see. But yep, agreed.
And one of the things he promised not to do again was to hand operational authority over to Benjamin Netanyahu, as other presidents said. We don't want any more of that. Why would we? And we're not going to make Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro, who have almost no organic support in the media world. No one really watches them. We're not going to hand control of our foreign policy over to people like that who don't know anything and who don't have America's interests at heart or even in mind. So breaking faith with those people, those voters, ones who actually
You don't like racists?
elected and whose coalition promised a new day in American politics, that's a big deal. It's a betrayal on the level that I don't think people who aren't in those groups can understand. Like, this is heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking. And by the way, a lot of people really like Trump. They like his style. They think he's hilarious. He's brave. You know, he's just like, they like him. And to see this is, oh, it's so wounding. It hurts. I've got a bunch who work.
See, again, back and forth. Sometimes he's saying enough that it's like, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. But then you say something else. And I'm like, I don't really think I'm on board with that. It sounds like that's really wrong, but I'm not sure. And then I'll just go and say some low-hanging fruit stuff. I did not expect to change my mind this quickly. I as I tell you guys a lot, that I try to, whenever we cover something, I'll jump through it to make sure we got something to cover, but I want to be as fresh to react to it as I'm watching it with you guys. And I expected this. I even said it at the top of the show that I thought this was going to be similar to the Piers Morgan, Nick Fuentes type of thing. Which I'm like, why don't you like this? And why don't you like that? And Tucker was going to give based answers. That ain't what's happening. That ain't what's happening. Shout out to Caleb. Welcome to the party. It's not Sack Constant.
For me, I'm related to some, they're all Trump voters. And I talked to them in the last 24 hours. They're upset. They're just mad. Like, I hate Israel. That's not the impulse. They're definitely starting to hate Israel. Why wouldn't they? Our relationship with Israel is hurting us gravely. It's getting Americans killed. So they're mad, but it's more than mad. I can't believe he did this to us. I feel just so depressed about it.
How politically damaging could it be? We've got the midterms coming up in November.
Well, Piers was willing to say a negative thing about Israel, which is not allowed in Shapiro's world.
How politically damaging could it be? We've got the midterms coming up in November. There were already a lot of reports that it was likely the Republicans would lose control of the House. Now I'm reading more reports that it may be that they even lose the Senate, which would render Trump, notwithstanding all his kind of mystical powers to avoid the normal norms of politics in America, if you don't have control of the House and the Senate, you are a lame duck president, period, end. There's pretty much nothing more you can do.
That's true now. I mean, I think the conversation has moved on from the president. It's not an attack on him. He's still, of course, his commander-in-chief. He threatened some kind of mass destruction of Iran yesterday. It sounded like a nuclear strike to me. So, he has the capacity,
let's not, please,
to make decisions. He's the president, elected president. However, as a political matter, that era is over for the reasons I just described. I didn't want that to be true, but the coalition is permanently fractured. He was not elected because of Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro did not get Donald Trump elected. A lot of the people Trump is now attacking got Donald Trump elected.
True.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, et cetera. So
Charlie Kirk, dilly. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. 6 months, guys. 6 months. Which was actually a couple days ago. So not the last stream, second to last stream, we were covering the top 10 Charlie Kirk moments. Go check that out. Caleb said, I still tune into Daily Wire on Rumble. I only watch Michael Knowles, though. Yeah, it's like Knowles and Walsh are up here. And then that's it. That's about it.
That coalition is done. The Republican Party, as currently constituted, will not continue because it doesn't represent its voters. It doesn't even try to represent its voters. In fact, it shows open hostility to its voters. So nothing like that can continue for very long because it doesn't make any sense. It's a bicycle with square wheels. It's ludicrous. So the question is, what comes next? And I do think it's possible to recreate some version of the 2020 Trump coalition or the 2024 Trump coalition on the basis of his core promise, which is just put the country first. And you're going to make mistakes and we're not exactly sure how to fix certain things, but let's all try. And by the way, let's be united as we do it.
And that is the only way that seems to, unless a lot of things change between now and when election season really kicks up. I think the only way that we get someone like a JD Vance is going to have to be the messaging that Trump was the greatest president of our lifetime, but we're in a different world than we were in 2016, and we thank Trump for everything, but X, Y, and Z, whatever that is, what we're going to change, what we're going to be different about, but still be MAGA, still be America first, but just not quite what Trump is. And I'd be down for it. I'd be down for it. I need to hear the right things. I need to hear the right things. And even when we do, just like with Trump, sometimes he says all the right things and then doesn't do them. But that's politics.
You're going to make mistakes, and we're not exactly sure how to fix certain things, but let's all try. And by the way, let's be united as we do it. The ugliest thing to come out of the Mark Levin-controlled Republican Party, which I find repulsive, and I just want to say I'll do everything I can to stop that party from becoming, any more powerful than it is try to stoke religious conflict in the United States, attacking people for being like a different religion. We hate the Muslims, really. How is it different from we hate the Jews? Well, it's not in any sense different.
I disagree. I think it is both wrong to say, I don't even want to say it, that, hate the J. I don't think you should be saying that. I don't think you should say that I hate the Muslims. You shouldn't think that. You can say whatever the fuck you want, but I don't think you should feel that way because those are people. It is the ideology. It is the ideology that is bad. And so then when we understand that, Muslims are just people and Jews are just people, sure. But what are those people following? What ideology are those people following? What is that ideology telling them to do? And then when you look at Judaism, the tenets of Judaism versus the tenets of Islam, I'll take Judaism every single goddamn day.
At all. And I would say, just thinking long-term about the United States, the greatest threat is not even the loss of the U.S. dollar.
Morga, thank you so very, very much for stopping by. You have a good one. Peace.
Reserve currency globally. The greatest threat is tribalism, where the country fractures into warring tribes. And people like Levin are doing their best to create that. And it's totally immoral and dangerous. It will result in violence. Their endless harping on this anti-Semitism question is part of that. Anti-Semitism is immoral. It's every bit as immoral as anti-white bias, which is encoded in the federal government, by the way, in every elite institution in the United States discriminates against whites. That is every bit as immoral as anti-Semitism. That's every bit as immoral as hating anybody else on the basis of their bloodline, because it's a universal principle.
But when and I don't have hate like that, but when we criticize Muslims, we're not criticizing them for anything that has to do with their blood. We're criticizing them for the ideas in their head. Exactly. I'm just telling ideology. So what specifically in Judaism is saying to take over, and is it how much violence is invoked? And genuinely asking. I don't know that much about Judaism. I know a little bit more about Islam, but Islam is clearly a very violent ideology that allows you to lie to get ahead and all these kinds of things. That's not conducive with American values. One said, who's throwing IEDs at peaceful protests shouting Allahu Akbar? Is it Islam or is it a Muslim? Did Islam load a vehicle with the explosives into a synagogue or a Muslim? Very obviously the Muslim. Why do you think that you just did a thing? You hate that Muslim because of their ideology that made them throw the IED. You don't hate everybody because they have a specific preference. You're not going to be like, oh, you're defending. Shut up. You know that's not what I'm saying. Shout out to Dylan Sue. Welcome to the party.
Anti-Semitism. That's every bit as immoral as hating anybody else on the basis of their bloodline, because it's a universal principle. It applies to every human being. It's a human right.
Islam is not an object at all. It is an ideology. Ideology is what makes people do what they do. We're saying the same thing. You're just trying to nitpick what I'm saying because you don't like the way that I said it. We're saying exactly the same thing, Lone Wolf.
To be treated as
unless you're saying that you justifiably hate anybody who is a Muslim, and I should too, then we're saying exactly the same thing.
An individual and not be held responsible for the sins of your parents. Bingo. That is a human right in the West. And people like Levin and Shapiro don't recognize that because they are not Western in their orientation. They think that rights only apply to the groups they favor. And that
the chosen one
idea, that evil idea, which was the basis of Nazism, by the way, that is the thing that will destroy the United States. And the next leadership of this country, whoever it is, has to articulate we're all American citizens. We must be treated equally under the law. Bias against one group is no better or worse than bias against another group, period. Anti-Semitism.
Again, I don't think that's true. We say criticism against the group that is soccer moms, we should have the same amount of bias towards soccer moms as the group that's called child predators? I don't think you mean that. I don't think you mean that, Tucker. Yeah, right. I hate that. I hate that.
Bias against one group is no better or worse than bias against another group.
So again, in his own words, soccer moms are exactly entitled to the same amount of grace as child diddlers.
Period.
Period.
Anti-Semitism. Where were you when the ADL was openly promoting anti-white hate? So now the ADL is authority on bias crimes? They've abetted bias crimes. They are currently abetting bias crimes. The ADL and every single one of these groups has an absolute moral obligation to treat anti-white hate, which is the only kind encoded in U.S. law right now, as every bit the threat of anti-Semitic hate. How are they different? They're not. And no one will say that until someone does say that, you will not reunite this country. And if this continues, the country will fracture.
And so what he's trying to say is that you shouldn't get special punishment or special ire for talking against Jewish groups if you're not attacking them based on their Judaism. But he's broadened that too much to say all groups deserve the same same bias or lack thereof, and that's stupid.
As we're talking, with glorious coincidence, Ben Shapiro has been releasing various clips on his social media platforms. One of them goes after me and Megyn Kelly. Me because he blew his gasket about Dave Smith appearing on my show, launched into my show, said it was just Jerry Springer.
But I won't debate him because he's just so bad, and I am Ben Shapiro, and I'm the best guy ever, and so I don't even need to. I'm just going to tell you how much I hate him, and then we're all going to pretend that I beat him in a debate. Shout out to Sam. Welcome to the party.
Gasket about Dave Smith appearing on my show, launched into my show, said it was just Jerry Springer. As I like Jerry Springer, I knew him very well. I worked with him on America's Got Talent. He's actually a very smart guy. Used to be a news anchor, mayor of Cincinnati. Really interesting guy, much smarter than Ben Shapiro. So I took that as a compliment. But I responded. He didn't like the response. He's come back. He's called me Jerry Springer again. He's called me a click whore. He says I'm a pussy bitch, and he goes on and on and on. I don't actually want to play the clip about me because he's trying to basically suggest that if you platform anybody that he hasn't approved,
like the wokies do. Platforming was always a woke left idea. And now we have people on the right saying, well, if you talk to this person, that's just as bad as co-signing their ideas. Nope, you're woke.
He's trying to basically suggest that if you platform anybody that he hasn't approved as a person that can speak.
I told you. Years ago, I saw that lady fucking blow a gasket, to use what Piers just said. I told you, Carolyn Borisenko is insane.
That he hasn't approved as a person that can speak about Israel, in other words, someone who's a propagandist for Israel, who will not criticize Israel, then you yourself are promoting anti-Semitism, therefore you're an anti-Semite, therefore you're basically borderline Nazi. But I do want to play what he said about you, because he's been railing the same stuff against you, which I don't think anyone who has watched this interview so far will have concluded, oh, yeah, Tucker sounds like a raging anti-Semite. He sounds like a Nazi. You couldn't sound less like either of those things. And yet he's just posted this. Let's take a look.
I started originally criticizing Tucker Carlson for his economic programs back in 2018. And then in the more modern post-Fox iteration of Tucker, I started criticizing Tucker over his going to Russia to sniff the bread and kiss Vladimir Putin's ass. My generalized critique of Tucker in the last few months has been, one, he hosted and glossed a Nazi, Nick Fuentes, which doesn't have to do with Israel. It has to do with glazing a Nazi, Nick Fuentes. And then I did a speech at Heritage in which I went through the fact that Tucker Carlson is in no way, shape, or form a traditional conservative. And he's a conspiratorial near-anarchist at this point, seeking to tear down the fundamental ideas and institutions of the United States. Go watch the Heritage speech. I believe Israel is mentioned once in a 35-minute speech.
He says that knowing that none of his audience is going to go watch that speech. Just be like, well, if Ben said it, then it must be true.
It's all about Tucker's general view of the world and how it does not represent traditional conservatism in any way. I think that Tucker Carlson has fostered anti-Semitism by having on some of the worst anti-Semites in America over and over and over, and then essentially laundering their views.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lowell saying we've been fighting against cancel culture since it started. People not platforming people is gay. But they're put their ignorance on full display for everyone to see. Exactly. Sam said, I don't care if you're Jewish. When you think you're better than everyone else because you're Jewish, like Shapiro and Epstein, kiss my grits. Exactly. Nuance, right? Our nuanced hate.
The worst anti-Semites in America over and over and over, and then essentially laundering their views.
So it's the same attack line, essentially, about the anti-Semitism, which is if you or I or Megyn Kelly, whoever it may be, dares to platform anybody who is critical of Israel, let's be clear. I mean, in my case, I've always made it crystal clear, as you have in this interview, I have absolutely no problem with Israel, the state of Israel, with Israeli, with Jewish people, many Jewish friends.
It's just Netanyahu and his people. So Glow in Dark asks, if I try to get a professor fired for calling to overthrow the government, is that woke right? I would say I would need a little bit more detail, but I would say generally no. If you are seriously worried about somebody, trying to disrupt the normal goings on of civilization itself, then calling attention to that is not woke, left, right, or anything. If it's just about, like he said, he wished that we would get a whole new regime, like everybody who's in office would just swap them out, and that would be an ideal world. And you're like, oh my God, he said that. That would be a little bit closer to woke, because you're already working from the conclusion that this person is bad and must be taken out of the conversation without actually addressing the conversation. Like the wokies do. Jerry said, criticism of Israel equals anti-Semitism. That's what they're saying. Bingo. Yep. And they're dumb. Calling people a Nazi is stupid. The comparison is unfounded. Nazis were terrible people. Having an opinion in politics isn't comparable. Crazy that we have to even say that these days, isn't it? Welcome. Sam said there should be no issue with being critical of Israel. We are allowed to be critical of our own government. Why the hell do we need to watch what we say about Israel? Because they control us. So yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily, I don't think I could specifically write out a definition of what is the woke right, or what about the woke right makes the woke right the woke right. But the idea is there, and as we see it more, then it's easier to kind of be like, okay, well, see how that worked, and then we could group those individual instances together and understand in general what we're talking about. It says, wild, you can get on national television and call someone a Nazi with no proof. Bingo. We definitely need an entire regime change. They're all compromised. So, Glow in Dark, this is not somebody that we want to report. Just kidding. Well, not just kidding, but, I'm just messing with you. Only person I've been actually called a Nazi is Nick Fuentes, who's actually, he's not actually a Nazi. He's just very anti-Jewish, and that is, I think he is anti-Semitic, but being anti-Semitic is still not the same thing as being a Nazi. It's just not the same thing. That's why there's different words.
It's nothing to do with that. I reserve the right as a journalist to criticize any government, and I particularly
say more on that, George.
Reserve the right to criticize the Israeli government, given what it's been doing in the last few years, as any decent journalist should.
Ironically, though, James Lindsay coined the term woke right, but he is one of the people who became one of the wokest people on the right. Just like Trump is, I'm MAGA, MAGA is this, MAGA, 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 and then he's not doing any of those things, and he wants to be the figurehead. It don't work like that. These ideas are ideas. They're not people. It's not a cult of personality. It is a concept that we've put forth, and if you fit in the box, then you fit in the box. If you don't, then you don't.
Not least because in Gaza, for example, the Israeli government continues to ban international journalists from operating there or even going on into Gaza to verify what they've been up to. That alone should be a warning sign to everybody that the Israeli government has probably been doing things in Gaza it doesn't want people to know. But I took the same view. I oppose the Iraq war. We've talked about this before. But I led the media campaign in the UK against the Iraq war, even though my own brother ended up fighting in it. But I opposed it, and I think was vindicated by what happened afterwards, sadly. But I opposed it and took on Tony Blair, who was the then British Prime Minister, even though my newspaper was the Labour sympathetic newspaper, the Daily Mirror, to the Labour government. But I did it because I thought it was the right thing to do. It didn't mean that I hated British people or my country. In fact, quite the opposite. It meant that I wanted to help the British people and help my country from stumbling into a disaster.
Yeah, but you said something bad about your country, therefore you must be bad. That's how it works, right?
And I sense from you that your position about Iran is not driven by a hatred of Jews or Israelis or Israel. It is driven by a sense that you feel this is bad for America and Americans, and probably bad for Israelis and Jewish people as well.
Yeah, I mean, I care about the United States. Again, I was born here. My family's been here hundreds of years. I care about it. I don't expect I'll be able to save it, but I want to do whatever I can to make it better and to avoid obvious disasters like this one. I don't want to attack Ben Shapiro, other than to say, like, that guy went to Harvard, and so did Bill Ackman. Like, at some point, you need to reassess. No, I'm serious, though.
Yeah, but I mean, Harvard was one of the first schools that we saw. It's like, wait a minute, aren't you discriminating against white people? That was like, I don't know exactly when it was, but that was like early on. And so going dark, you're saying all this, and I think that there's enough issues with being a groyper, with the things that he specifically says, that we don't need to tie the Nazi title onto it. That's still going along and weakening the word. And because of the fact that the woke left has used Nazi over and over and over and over and over, then whether we like it or not, saying, oh, you're literally a Nazi, it just doesn't mean anything anymore. And so it's way more effective to say, he said this, he said that, he said that. And he's a piece of shit because of those ideas. I think that's whether or not it specifically fits in the box of Nazi, it doesn't really seem to be relevant because of how weak that word has become. All right, maybe he is, but with how many other people have been deemed like literally a Nazi? How do we tell the difference between the real Nazis and the Nazis that are just being called Nazis because they're, not woke enough? You see what I mean?
Oh, these are two of the most famous, richest people in our world. They both went to Harvard. I know them both. Not geniuses, like not even close to geniuses. And so, like, our system itself is not producing wise people or even very knowledgeable people. Like, Ben Shapiro had no idea there was a strait at the end of the Persian Gulf and why it was important. You need a system that produces superior people. The British Empire did a pretty good job of this. The United States before the Second World War did a pretty good job of this. We need to reassess our system. That's the first thing I would say. Second, you're right. This is absurd. I think I've actually even argued with you about Israel. I was taking a tougher position than you. You've been a defender of Israel. Yeah. That's why this is so crazy. He wants to talk about this in order to get, this is projection. You're all about clicks. No, actually, Ben Shapiro was all about the money and about the clicks. But here's the part.
Projection. The question is, Tucker projecting about Ben Shapiro projecting, or are we just calling out Ben Shapiro's projection? I don't know, but I get to drink either way, and I get to use my whistle.
That I think that we should be concerned about. It is now a crime in a lot of the West to criticize Israel. People were arrested yesterday in Australia for criticizing Israel outside, publicly, not attacking Jews, not attacking physically anybody, saying I'm against the state of Israel. They're arrested for it. They're in jail tonight. That's also true in the UK, as you know. It's true in Canada. It's true throughout Europe.
It is crazy the way that at least my eyes were opened to the Western world and how much the Western world is not just like America over COVID. Even though there was draconian laws in some states here in America, I remember seeing videos, articles, whatever, about people in, we usually think of the West, of the countries that are just like America, but a little bit different, US, Canada, UK, and Western Europe, and Australia. That's like, civilized people world. But when I saw some of the shit that was going down, I remember specifically a video where there was some lady that had COVID, and they moved her to like essentially a concentration camp, being a little bit hyperbolic, but not really. And you weren't allowed to go past the porch, and there was like a line for there was like 2 residences, and there was a line in between. And the lady was on the porch, but on the second step, and there was 3 cops there, like, "You got to get inside. We're gonna arrest you." Yo, what? If it can happen there, it can happen here. Yes, we have a lot more, we'll just say, constitutional protection against things, but it can happen. Thank you for the lucky clover. I still don't know what those mean. But as long as you guys are, not spending money on that stuff, we'll figure it out eventually. But thank you.
And Ben Shapiro and people in the administration would like to make that the law here. This is the last holdout of free speech on planet Earth, the United States. It's encoded in our
free speech. 2A.
Constitution. Also, I would say in the American DNA, we have a right to say whatever we believe is true, period. And that very much includes criticism of a foreign country. You'll never hear me saying from the river to the sea, because I'm not exactly sure what that means. However, if I want to say from the river to the sea, I certainly will. And I'll do that until I die, because that's my birthright. That's a right given to me by God, not the U.S. government. And Ben Shapiro and a lot of these people are saying it out loud. We need to penalize anti-Semites with the law. What does that even mean? You can never, in the United States, prosecute or even persecute someone for his beliefs. For your beliefs, you have the right of conscience in this country. The UK used to have it. Australia used to have it. New Zealand used to have it. Now they're going
not anymore
to jail for saying things that Ben Shapiro doesn't like. So we should be wary of this, because it's all preparatory to legislative and regulatory changes that will ban free speech in the United States. They're saying it out loud.
Just because there's limitations on a constitutionally protected right doesn't mean that doesn't help us in terms of what I was just explaining about how UK, Canada, and Australia have gone down the really wrong road when it comes to the government itself, as well as the invasion of a new population. It's definitely different. Dylan Groost, Dylan's with me. He said Tucker isn't wrong about that. It's just coming from someone who, in turn, is also side-eyed. Never know who to trust. You never know who to trust. But yeah, I mean, of course, your rights can be infringed, which is exactly what I'm saying we're worried about. But I'm saying we have those protections. The rights have to be infringed first before anything is wrong. Whereas in these other countries, they're just like, nope, you posted something we don't like. I mean, I'll go all the way to all the way back to what was it, Count Dankula, and he had his pug doing the salute, and I don't remember exactly what happened. He either had to pay a shit ton of money, or he might have gone to jail. I don't remember exactly. I never read the Bill of Rights either.
That's happening.
I also think that the really insidious part of it, and there were many insidious parts of it, one is to silence people and to threaten them and to get them cancelled and so on, which is very hypocritical coming from someone like Ben Shapiro, who pretends to be the
just civilly, right? Just civilly,
great king of free speech. But also, there are exactly. I ended my own monologue response to him by saying those exact words, which probably triggered his little pussy bitch outburst today, as he's called them. But I think the other thing that's
right message, wrong messenger.
I find insidious, Tucker, is that there are genuine anti-Semitic people. There are people that hate Jews because they're Jewish. There are people that wish harm to Jews. There are people who still have Nazi sympathies, who think the Holocaust was a good thing. These people exist. And if you start branding everybody that's critical...
What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Speaking of Erica Kirk, though, we did have Jesse on Fire got back to me. What did he say? So we can do whatever. I'm traveling for spring break, but I might be able to do it when I'm there. Text me next week. So maybe next week we'll get him on. And he's been really deep in the Candace, Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk stuff. And he can be a little bit more conspiratorial than I personally would be. But I'm definitely he's been going off, and I haven't really been following. But I'm definitely interested to hear. Gnarly Kirk, welcome. That's a cool name. Said Tucker is paid off. He's put there to look like he's against the system, but in reality, he's not. He only goes so far into subjects, and he completely avoids the best ones, and he was in the files. Yeah, but when we get, that's another one that we don't want to overuse. In the files. Was he mentioned in a news article, or was he in flight logs and stuff? That's a very big difference. This is the type of rhetoric that they want you to be using, so that when, in the coming years we find out that people were really in the files, then we're like, oh well, I mean, well, what does that mean? I want when we talk about somebody being in the files, we bring that up because they were in the files because of what they did. You know what I mean? Exactly. Everybody's in the files. I was talking about Jesse on Fire. So he used to be an MMA YouTuber, and then he kind of moved into politics a little bit, and he kind of does his own thing now. Yeah, Jesse on Fire. Hopefully next week, if not the week after. And we should see. Guys, you're so close. What are you doing? Meme me, brothers, meme it.
The Holocaust was a good thing. These people exist.
Oof, that's a rough cut for Piers.
And if you start branding everybody that's critical of this current very hardline Israeli government, with people like Smodrich, Ben-Gvir, who have extremely hardline views, if you criticize a government and you get branded anti-Semitic for criticizing the government for policies that many people think
is definitely interesting, right, wrong, or otherwise, he will be interesting.
Wrong, then what you're doing, you're allowing the genuine anti-Semites, the genuine Nazi sympathizers, to just ride under the radar. Because, if you go on social media.
Did anyone see the Trump and Erica Kirk's face comparison? She looks just like him. Well, I think that deserves a little side quest. Let's see. Trump, Erica Kirk, comparison. What do we got? Let's see. So, the first one, right off rip. I don't see it there. If you got a specific search term. Let's zoom out a little bit. I don't know, man. I don't really see it. See, he's got, even in this, maybe this one will be good. This one, yeah. So even though this isn't super sharp, you can see that Trump has a little bit more of a longer face. It's not super, it's not like elongated. Like, I have a longer face than Trump does, but Erica has a very round face. I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, there could be a connection that what do you guys? Let's put that to a poll. And again, guys, all the good polls are on the landscape stream. If you are on the vertical, make sure you click the link in the description to come on over to the landscape stream. So do Trump and Erica Kirk look related? Let's say related. Do they look related? All right. Let's dive back in. What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means. Hey, shout out to Jason. Welcome. Said if we don't get the SAVE Act passed, we are screwed. If Democrats win midterms, we are screwed. Agree. That I could see. But also, I think they were fucking. So that's a whole other thing. But that I could see. They both have that very round face. Zhang said, two Germanic people look somewhat similar. Who would have thought? Yeah, I'm with you there. All right.
the genuine Nazi sympathizers to just ride under the radar. Because, if you go on social media now, everyone's an anti-Semite, according to Ben Shapiro and these guys. Once everyone becomes something, even though the vast majority are not that thing, then the ones who really are that thing get to operate much more freely, I think.
That may be true. That's not my first concern. My first concern is the innocent falsely accused. Always. It is better to let people get away with crimes than it is to punish a single innocent man. That has always been a bedrock assumption of American justice and of justice itself. You
Maz, don't let Nightbot do all the work.
can't punish the innocent. Of course, Israel specializes in punishing the innocent, killing the families of people they don't like. So it's not a concept that people like Ben Shapiro understand or care about, but it's the basis of Western civilization. So you do not accuse or penalize innocent people, much less kill them.
We're all in the files on stolen land. Dilly fucking dilly. There was like 4 things you guys said. There was like 4 different things you guys said. I was like, nobody's gonna do the meme. Nobody's gonna do the meme. I really like the Scream franchise. I did not, yet again, I didn't fully understand what it was because I had obviously seen, Scary Movie. I didn't necessarily I just thought Scream was another slasher. I didn't realize it was meta like that. So I'm really enjoying it. I've gotten all the way up to Scream 5, the 2022 remake. So I just gotta watch 6 and 7. Public Enemy? You mean like Tucker? It's like I knew. Why don't we feed the puppy, guys? Why don't we feed the puppy 99 cents? We'll get him a treat.
Basis of Western civilization. So you do not accuse or penalize innocent people, much less kill them. B, this is a universal principle. It is not specific to one ethnic group or one bloodline. The principle is you cannot attack or penalize people, punish them for the sins, real or perceived, of their ancestors, period. And in the United States right now, and this has been true for 60 years, the only group that is routinely denied jobs, promotions, federal grants, college admission to Harvard is Christian whites. And it's embedded in the law in the United States. We call it.
Nellie Kirk said, I do think that they were doing something. And Nicki Minaj said, Assassin J.D. Vance on stage with Erica. Oh, yeah, that part. And laughed it off. I didn't. Well, let's see what you guys think. I don't think that was anything. Let's see. Nicki Minaj, Erica Kirk. Am I yet again going to regret using the search on X while we're looking that up? Shout out to Glow and Dark with a $2 make you holla. Thank you. So very, very much. Of course, every donation comes with a treat for the Overlord. What are you doing? Open your mouth, bro. He's like, put it in your mouth. Open up. There we go. Thank you. Look at him. He's loving it. Thank you so very, very much. All right. Let's see what we got. Yeah.
For you to think about for young.
So, what were we talking about? Yeah, Natalie Kirk was talking about when Nicki Minaj on this stage said assassin. Do you think this is something shady, or do you think this is just like, her using the word assassin is like, he's like awesome, and then she realized it was a slip? Or do you think there was something shady going on here?
You think about for young men. For young men.
And for young men, don't be new scum.
Burst! Oh, come on.
Yes, see, dear young men, you have amazing role models like our handsome,
What the fuck is going on?
dashing president. And you have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
see that look when she was like, that looks like a genuine like, oh, did I really just say that? Let's see it again.
J.D. Vance, our the assassin.
But that look also when she said the word specifically, it seemed a little like on purpose. I don't know. We're gonna watch the whole thing and we'll watch it through the whole thing again 2 more times. Here we go.
Role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
See, that seems genuine.
Trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. Yes, we did.
She seems legitimately embarrassed. One more time. One more time.
You think about for young men. For young men.
and for young men, don't be new scum. Yes, see, dear young men, you have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. And you have amazing role models like the assassin.
Come on.
J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
I don't know why this kid, but yeah, maybe she was thinking that. But again, look how she seems very embarrassed.
Trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine.
Yeah, maybe it was one of those things like, don't say assassin, don't say assassin, don't say, and then she says assassin. So we've got the poll up. Was Nicki Minaj saying something shady? Yes or no? It was a slip. What do you think? Gnarly said, we got to remember she made a living off of words and knowing what words to use when and where. No. First of all, I don't know if she's actually writing her own songs. Even if she is, wet ass pussy does not really scream wide vocabulary to me. I don't know. I think if she was gonna do something shady, then it would be like she would have done exactly what she did, where you know she was looking over at Erica, right, and she's like the assassin JD, and would have just moved on. If she was gonna do it, that's what I think it would look like. She's saying what she was thinking. She's riffing the whole night, and she's a rapper. I think she probably said that and realized after she goofed. That's what I think. That's what I think. Like, Nash, there you go. No. They're all the fucking same. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Wet ass pussy. Well, now that we're here. Now that we're here. Now that we're here. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is this? What is happening?
Oh, yes. Oh my God, I should not be doing this. That's what she did.
What is even going on? See, where's the video? This is why I fucking hate X so much. Look, we're going to take that. I'm going to go to YouTube, and it's going to pull it up immediately. I don't understand.
In this house. There's some whores in this house.
No, I want the reading version.
Now, we're going to do something we haven't done in a while. So over the last week or so, there's been a lot of attention paid to a music video. It's called WAP, okay, which we're going to get into in just 1 second. And it seems to me that there's a segment that we've been remiss in ignoring for a long time now on the show. We used to do it much more regularly. It's called Deconstructing the Culture. So it is time once again to deconstruct the culture, where we take an important piece of popular culture and we break it down for its important aspects in American life. So let's deconstruct a little bit of culture. So there's this video that went out. It is by a person named Cardi B, who has a rather checkered past. I mean, she's talking on video about how she used to drug men and steal their money after.
Bro, what is going on? Fucking YouTube's been bugging all the last week. Oh, wait, I see this. We have play the video.
Super empowerment. Here are some of the lyrics. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready, baby. Give it to me, baby. And then, can we not?
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some.
Come on, really? Let's reload.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. Hold up. I said certified freak 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak. Yeah, you effin' with some wet ass P word. P word is female genitalia. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you got for this wet ass P word.
How dare you?
Beat it up, N word. Catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I want to ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet. Come take a dive. And continue along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar.
All right. Well, just in case you've never seen it, what ass P word? All right, we're done with this. Anyway, what are you guys saying? WAP, not to be confused with rap. The Springsteen song. Ew! Yucky! Lama said Ben is spitting. Cardi B has a. No, she doesn't. I don't see that. Well, aren't they mostly generally football shaped? Football head. All right, let's dive back in here, guys.
Admission to Harvard is Christian whites. It's embedded in the law in the United States. We call it affirmative action, DEI, diversity imperatives, whatever. That's the law in the United States. And so if we're going to tackle bias, and I think we should, through moral suasion, we need to attack it evenly as a universal principle, because if these protections apply only to your group, they're not valid. That's just tribalism. I don't care, actually. And then we're in a system where we only care about our own groups. No law or principle has meaning or validity unless it's universal, unless it applies to all human beings, all Americans.
Fair. I have not recent, but within like a few years ago, longer than I should be comfortable admitting, I did not understand how much or how prevalent the use of wigs and weaves were in the Black community. I just didn't know.
Citizens. And so I would just remind Ben Shapiro of that. You need to push back. If you're pushing back against anti-Semitism, you need to push back against the only kind of hate and bias embedded in U.S. law. It's the U.S. law. And this administration has done not so much to change that. I don't understand why. I hope they will. But as long as we're doing this, let's apply it to every human being, because human rights are a real thing. Those rights were endowed by God. I just want to, I know Ben Shapiro went to Harvard, but he should meditate on that for a minute.
So it seems like the overall thing here is Piers is looking to give Tucker an opportunity to be like, I'm going to drill you down just like I did with it was Nick Fuentes, and then who was the other one that I was thinking of? It might have been Nick Shirley. Fuck, I don't remember who it was. Fuck. Anyway, but that kind of treatment, but the reverse. And like, this is going to be a softball interview to let one of my fellow previous legacy media colleagues, kind of straighten some things out, so to speak.
Well, also, he should meditate on the fact that when I
did not know that.
To a lot of outrage from people on the pro-Palestinian side, when I was very vociferous in my belief when the war on Hamas started, that Israel didn't just have a right to defend itself, it had a fundamental duty to defend itself after what was an appalling terrorist attack with 1,200 people killed and nearly 7,000 250 kidnapped, including a baby and Holocaust survivors and so on. Of course, they had to defend themselves. By taking such a strong position as I did for a long time, and you and
the heavies,
and I did argue about this as it went on.
Yes.
I took a lot of heat coming from the other side about that. And, I made the point to Shapiro this week. I've taken heat from both sides, and I'm fine with that. I actually think journalists should take heat from both sides of almost any issue, because it probably means you're doing the right thing. You're
Yo, for real though, they do need to bring back that show, Celebrity Deathmatch. But I would watch a real boxing match of that too. That would be awesome.
Asking the right questions at the right time. But he was very keen to come on my show.
What?
And enjoy the clicks that came from the interviews that we did when he perceived me to be somebody on his
grifter!
Side. But
Grifter!
what he didn't understand was I never saw it as taking a side. I just saw it as they had a right to defend themselves. as America did after 9/11, as Britain did when we had the Battle of Britain and the Blitz.
Yep, I was on that train as well. And then time went on, and I was like, wait a minute. It seems like you're taking the tit for tat a little too tat, if you know what I mean.
You have a right to defend your country, whoever you are, if you're under attack. But he mistook that for me taking a tribal position with him, that I was on his side. And the moment I began to deviate from that, I began to get more critical of Israel, certainly from the start of last year onwards, I became much more critical. He couldn't handle it. And then he didn't just refuse to come on the show. He refused to reply to my texts. We'd always had a very cordial relationship. And then he started attacking me in public. And I was watching all this going, really? You're the free speech guy? You're the guy that tells the world how important free speech is? You're the one that says repeatedly, facts don't care about your feelings?
And then you turn around and behave in completely different way from what you've been preaching. You know, like the wokies do. Ben Shapiro was probably the pinnacle of the woke right. He's probably the pinnacle of the woke right.
And yet here you're letting your feelings override any changing facts on the ground in Gaza, for example. And I felt that was just so rankly hypocritical.
And also embarrassing. I mean, he's ruled by his emotions. So, which is, lots of us are. I am sometimes, for sure. Try not to be. But here's a guy whose whole brand, carefully constructed brand with his carefully constructed deal with Facebook, is based on.
Actually, I'll say I don't think white privilege is BS. I think there is definitely like in-group preference is a real thing. And so if we want to say that by being part of the in-group of the majority, you benefit in certain ways, that's just true no matter what the group is. And so in America, at least for now, the majority is white. But to say that because you are white, you have an easy life or you don't understand what it's like to go through, anything, that is BS. The nuance of understanding that there is a privilege to being part of the in-group while also not capitulating to people from the out-group saying, you must be guilty. Where's your white guilt? Two things can be true at the same time.
Here's a guy whose whole brand, carefully constructed brand with his carefully constructed deal with Facebook, is based on his cool analysis, right? Facts don't care about your feelings. I'm a facts guy. And here he is allowing his one overriding love in life, which is for the Benjamin Netanyahu.
The only political demographic that has an out-group preference. They hate themselves. White liberals prefer other people than themselves. They're angry and unhappy, so of course they think other people are better than them.
Government to determine who he's friends with. And by the way, you see a lot of this. I mean, I called Mark Levin right after Charlie Kirk was killed to say,
that's that white guilt.
Geez, this is horrible. And let's stop fighting because we probably have a lot in common. And, let's just not fight. When you see someone killed who you love, it's like you want to fight less. So that's why I called him. And he was nice, by the way. He was. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And then
if you meant it legitimately, then it would be woke. Because then you're saying, I can't defeat their ideology. I'm just going to remove them from the conversation, just like the platforming thing. But if you're saying, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? That's not woke. But if you actually mean, no, legitimately, I want ICE to find any white liberal and take them to a different country. Legitimately. That would be pretty woke.
Starts getting this whole thing about my mother told me there was going to be another Holocaust in the United States because they're coming for the Jews. And, I don't want to make fun of other people's fears because, we all have fears that may or may not be reasonable, but it was so real to him. And I almost said, geez, Mark, of course, I'm totally opposed to hurting anybody, period. I'm a Christian, but I don't think we're on the cusp of that, like in Connecticut right now. But it was so real to him. Like his fear of that, dominated everything. And it really, I guess what I would say is, I don't think Shapiro and Levin and Acton and some of these people get the credit they deserve for sincerity. I think that they really think we're on the verge of something horrible domestically. And the sad thing is that their neuroses and their inability to control their emotions divides Americans and scares the crap out of a lot of really decent people who I know who are Jewish. They're like, oh my gosh, we're on the verge of a pogrom. And you want to say, first of all, I don't think we are. Second, I'll do whatever I can to stop that because I hate that kind of thing. And let's, calm down. But no, I think they believe it. And I think the net effect is to make is to inspire group cohesion, which again may be part of the point. I don't know, but whatever it is.
Shout out to the Dar King or the Dark Ing. Welcome said, I wouldn't say they lost their meaning. Their impact has been greatly diminished because they've been reduced to people I don't like.
Bingo.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So, guys, we are 5 minutes away from the 2-hour mark, at which point I will be shutting down the vertical stream. So I'm going to point that in there. The link to the the link to the landscape stream is in the description of the vertical stream. If you would like to keep on partying, just hit that link and we'll keep partying.
It's bad. It's corrosive. It destroys friendships. It will destroy the country. Like, everyone needs to calm down a little bit, I guess I would say.
There was an interesting response to something you said about when Trump said he wouldn't accept anything less than unconditional surrender from Iran. You discussed that and what unconditional surrender means. Let's take a listen to what you said.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want. And everyone knows that. And that has been, if there's one consistent lesson of history, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter.
I don't know that is. Let's see. Let's put that to a poll. So I'm going to play this again because I'm not going to type all that out. Is Tucker correct about what unconditional surrender means? Okay, so I'm gonna back it up. We're gonna play it again, and then I'm gonna put the poll up on the landscapes side, and we'll see.
And means. Let's take a listen to what you said.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want. And everyone knows that. And that has been, if there's one consistent lesson of history, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter. Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic instinct there is. And so to avoid that, people will do anything.
See, I don't know. Again, this is not my best area of expertise, but to me, it sounds like unconditional surrender is in the context of what we've said you need to do. So if we said you need to dismantle your nuclear program and you need to do that and you need to open the Strait of Hormuz and whatever else, then that is surrender, unconditionally surrender. I could be very, 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 very wrong about this, but that's how I did not at all in any way think that Trump was saying that American soldiers should be able to go and grape Iranian women and children. That would be insane. That would be insane. What do you guys think? Hit the poll. Yeah, Sam said Levin used to brag about how he didn't really care about Israel much. Okay. One time he was very pro-America back in the early and mid 2000s. I used to listen to his shows live. So, okay. So he was legit and he fell down the rabbit hole. Yikes. The Dark Gang said, Black, I once saw a video of a bunch of white people kneeling to black people in a park. It's just too gross and performative. Treating people fairly is really easy.
Bingo.
Yep. And I mean, it is inherently racist to do that. To think that you are of a race that is so much better than the blacks that you must bow down to them because there's no other way to be equal. Who thinks like that? Jason said, look at Ma'am Dummy in New York City. The mayor's office looked like the Middle East. Can't believe it's the city that suffered 9/11. I've seen memes that said like 2001, and it's a picture of the smoke coming down the towers, and 2026, him on some fucking him and a bunch of people sitting on the ground on a bunch of mats, and like it's like it's too on the nose. It's too on the nose. If it was in a TV show, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it if you saw it in a TV show. So, yeah, Sam, going back to the unconditional surrender. Tucker's being hyperbolic. So Google does say that. Okay, fair. But we understand that not everybody uses language as specifically as the dictionary dictates. That's how language evolves. Because we don't stick to the only meaning that that ever is. Sometimes that's for the better, sometimes for the worse, and sometimes it is inorganic in the sense of, all the words that we've been talking about, like racist and Nazi and all that stuff. Those are inorganically changing because of the way people are using them. But the example I like to use is literally. When I was a kid, if you looked up the word literally in the dictionary, it would say something along the lines of actually happening in accordance with reality, something like that. And an antonym, meaning the opposite, would be figuratively. Fast forward. And now, literally has changed. Literally means figuratively, literally and figuratively. That makes sense, what I just said. Unfortunately, because people are like, oh my God, this is literally the worst day of my life. They've now changed it because language is how we use it. Yeah, sometimes for better or worse. All right, guys, on the vertical stream, this is your last chance. Hit that link in the description and come on over. We're going to give you a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stream shut down. All right.